And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and I am at campuspressbox.com, and you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald. Unfortunately, today, of course, my faithful co-host is not available. He is he's traveled down to Chicago to go watch Milwaukee go play DePaul. But news, we've got our, and so since that's the case, I am going completely and totally, CSU biased. So today I have with me, I have Phil Daniels, who of course and of course I also have, sorry, Phil, I don't know why. Did that on his end. And we also, Phil, yes, there you are.
I'm here. I think I just put myself on mute.
Phil, of course, longtime Cleveland State fan. Where can people find you?
Pretty much. I'm on Facebook, mostly. So Daniels, I guess, on Facebook. Yeah.
And, of course, we've also got John Durda.
Hey, everybody.
Fan. John Durda, of course, Pronkville08 on Twitter. We were going to have a third Cleveland State fan, Craig Jones, at Craig Jones. Sorry, couldn't make it. Hopefully, we'll get to you next time, man. All right, so started out with so much promise, and then not sure what happened. Valpo loses by 20 and to Oregon, and then Friday, basically just about everybody lost.
Yeah, I was kind of looking through the Horizon League, Bob. I was trying to find it's been a surprise so far this year, and I really can't find one. I was looking through Valpo 3-1, Oakland 4-0. I mean, those are the two teams that everyone really expected to be at the top of the conference, so no surprise there. And then you look down the rest of the league, everyone's either 2-1, 2-2, 1-2, and that's pretty much what we expected, a lot of blah. So really no surprises early on for me.
Well, the one thing that I am kind of surprised about, of course, is that you have a Youngstown State, which, they did, as you both were there, and as you both were there, as evidenced by, your Phil's video chats and all that, which is awesome, by the way. It was posted up on various social media. They beat Akron 90-82. They beat Akron and then proceed to lose 3 games in a row. And not really now the overtime they did lose in overtime against Toledo, which was awesome. I mean they played pretty tough, and Toledo's a pretty tough cookie, so I'm not really that surprised that they kind of that they played them pretty tough. Alabama and Jacksonville State both lost.
Just Jacksonville, I think.
Jacksonville State. It was Jacksonville State by double digits, by the way. Just after Jimmy and I had given them props last week, and then they go and lose lose the next 3 games. It has not been a pretty sight at all for the Horizon League faithful, as it were. With the exception, again, of Oakland, who, of course, has actually done pretty well and continues to shine. And they seem to be kind of the Valpo 20-point loss at Oregon aside. that's going to be – I think that one's going to – I don't know if that one's going to really hurt, but I think the fact that Oakland has started off pretty strong is good. Everybody else not starting off strong, not really helpful.
Yeah. Didn't Valpo beat Oregon last year?
No, Valpo beat Oregon State last year. They narrowly lost to Oregon last year.
Okay.
So, and Oregon State, by the way, who ended up winning the going to the NCAA tournament over Valpo, which I thought was a kind of nice cherry on the top of a down season. So that was fun. One other thing. There was one other bright spot, mind you. There was Northern Kentucky, who beat Delaware. I'm not sure how much to take out of that one. It was I think it was a 20-point win for the Norse. But Delaware was one of the last to hire their head coach, so that's always a problem. So they kind of missed out on a lot of different things.
And the game before that, Northern Kentucky lost to Austin P, who's ranked 290 in KenPom. So, yeah, I don't think they're off to good of a start either.
Yeah, this is and Jimmy and I have talked about this about what does this league need to do in the non-conference to kind of disprove it's going to be a down year, and Friday was not that day. Friday was not that day at all. Cleveland State lost by 11, and it could have been way worse. That game was going. So the fact that they got that back to losing by 11 is probably a minor miracle in and of itself. Because that was, that first half was absolutely brutal.
I didn't see the first half. I was at the Ignatius Eds High School playoff game, and I saw 50-23 at halftime. I didn't believe it, and I checked Twitter, and it was true. And I don't know what to make of this team. I mean, it's a young team, but if they're going to come out of the gate spotting the other team 20, 25, 30-point leads, it's going to be a long year.
It's interesting because you see, and you see kind of glimmers of it. You saw it in the win against Canisius. You were able to see them, but like you said, if you're spotting anybody double digit lead at halftime or any point in time for that matter, you're going to run the risk of losing a lot of games. Now, Tennessee Martin, the team that Cleveland State lost to, they're kind of no joke anyway, because they did go toe to toe with Ole Miss, and I think they only lost by 3. So I wasn't that optimistic that they were going to do all the Vikings were going to do as young as they are right now, and as much as they're trying to gel. It was kind of on the fence as to how well they would perform, but. The shooting at one point in time, I think they had shot 31% from the field in that first half, and that's only because they were hitting shots near the end of the first half. That was literally it. And they couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. And then when you don't, when you're not being able to produce offense, it's going to make your defense really, 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 really tough. Especially the way that offense is set up, that defense is set up for Gary Waters and Cleveland State.
I don't know if Phil got a chance to watch the game or what he thought of it.
I think we keep running into technical difficulties with Phil. I keep getting feedback, and I don't know why. It's crazy, but
I think it's on his end because his mic is now muted and it's not as bad.
Yeah. Well. Phil, are you with us? Oh, I think we lost him. But he's not there.
Yeah, I don't see. I see his microphone is muted, but beyond that, I don't know. Yeah.
There we go.
I don't know what's going on here. To me, Cleveland State it's like two different teams out there. First half, they come out and like they don't know each other. And then after halftime, like the game against Tennessee Martin, they would actually run set plays. Blunt was setting screens. Edwards was coming off the screen, hitting jump shots. Same thing with Bobby Word. But in the first half, it was pure crap for 20 minutes.
We're going to be running into that thing a whole lot, particularly in the non-conference. And to think, Cleveland State fans, we have Kentucky to look forward to.
Oh, man.
Well, Phil and I are going to that game, so.
Really? I believe that's on the. I had a feeling that was on the Make Phil Great Again tour. So yes, I thought I spotted that. Yeah, there's going to be there actually will be a couple of there will be a handful of Viking fans who do make it down to Lexington. Prep Arena. So I mean, it's one of like it's kind of one of the like the temples of college basketball. So obviously, even if if you get if you get an opportunity to get down there, obviously you want to take advantage.
And the last time Cleveland State played down there 3 years ago, Phil and I went, and that was one of my favorite experiences I've ever had in a basketball game. Just Cleveland State leading almost the whole game, and it was so quiet there, you could hear a pin drop, and then Kentucky takes over at the end, and it's so loud you can't hear the person next to you.
Yes, Kentucky takes its basketball very, very seriously on there. So, yeah. Especially when Drake shows up.
Well, Drake,
I think Drake isn't.
Phil and I are hoping going
up to this game.
Yeah, we got hope for Ashley Judd instead.
Somebody who takes Kentucky basketball very seriously. So, the one other thing I did want to talk about, obviously, Phil, did you want to weigh in on the whole Youngstown State thing? Because I want to get your thoughts on that.
There's not much to say at the house that Jerry Slocum built. They only got the one win against Akron is because John and I left. We're their good luck charm. Other than that, they're going to be a bottom feeder in the Horizon League.
Well, when Phil and I left at halftime, Akron had an 8-point lead, and we were hungry, and we just figured Akron would win by 15. We left, and then Youngstown State couldn't miss in the second half. So, yeah, that's on Phil and I for Akron losing, yeah.
Yeah, the Max thinking us.
So we'll put that on you guys. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it isn't like a victory in that Northeast Ohio versus Cancer Challenge.
That one's coming back. I'm trying to. That is now next year. Is that coming to Cleveland or is that
either CSU or Akron? One of the two. I don't know.
I think it's Akron next year.
Okay.
I don't see them going.
It's a rotating. Every school gets a chance to host that thing because it's a 4-year deal. Last year, I believe, was it.
Last year was in Kent.
Exactly.
So last year is in Kent. This year is in Youngstown. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to. Is he going to be in Cleveland or in Akron? You know.
Phil said probably in Akron.
Probably in Akron. See them rotating like Matt Horizon.
Okay, that makes sense. So then Cleveland State will close it out. Theoretically, they'll be playing it at the Wolstein Center, depending upon whether they approve the plan to knock it down or not.
That's one of those things, Bobby. It's been talked about for 15, 16 years, and until something actually happens, I'm not taking much stock in anything that's said. I mean, Phil probably feels the same.
Yeah, the exact same way.
No, they're actually taking bids on that now because the site that they have the Wolstein Center on right now, they want to build housing. It's reinforced.
Well, to me, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, I've always, for as long as I've been in CSU, I think the big problem is there's no housing. There's not enough student housing out near campus. So any plan that adds more student housing, I'm all for it.
Yeah. They've been. I mean, that's been like a decade-long kind of mission for CSU to get in that general, everywhere. And I know they got the Euclid Commons, they got the partnership with the Langston, they've got Fenn Tower, they bought the old Heritage, whatever they're calling. I think they're calling it the Edge now, the old YMCA building. That's under CSU jurisdiction now. And then I guess the goal is right now they're in the bidding process to not only a contractor for the housing part of it, but a contractor for which will now be, I guess, about, according to the article in the News Herald, it's going to be around 5,000 to 6,000 seats now, which is probably better suited for what Cleveland State needs it for.
That's just about right. I mean, you look at, since I've been going to Cleveland State games almost 10 years now, I mean, I can count the number of times there's more than 5,000 people in there on one hand, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I think, and remember in the original history, it was that, history was I guess there wasn't, they thought that there was going to be, they were still working on the whole downtown arena for the Cavs at the time, the planning of the Wolstein Center, so. And then, of course, the Cube came to pass, and that's kind of and having forever and ever and ever. I know that for many years, the Wolstein Center has kind of been it's a great arena. I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house. It's just for the location where it is. It's a little too.
Well, yeah, of course, there's always the issue of all the big-time concert acts and shows go to the Q, but Wolstein Center's not big enough to have the real big acts, but it's not small enough to have the small. It's kind of in that limbo in-between area.
What ended up happening is because I know they were choosing between that and I guess they were choosing when they did the original survey over the summer. They were looking at a possibility of either using the Wolstein Center site or the site where the soccer field and the softball field are. And I guess looks like they're moving in the direction of the Wolstein Center site at this point in time. So I guess it makes sense because we know that we've been talking about the Wolstein Center for ever and ever and ever. So I mean it does it's probably time at a point where we need to start having that conversation about what the next move is. The one other thing I did want to talk about today is that, again, Oakland is 4-0 now, and they're the only undefeated team in the Horizon League right now. Now everybody remembers, during the offseason, a gentleman by the name of Isaiah Brock. He had spent some time in the military. He went to the military straight from high school. He was kind of recognized his grades weren't really up to par, so he decided to the military was his best foot forward. So he took a couple of college classes while in the military, and then what happened was, I guess, during an overseas visit, he had met Greg Campy. Campy was impressed enough with Brock that he decided he said, whenever you get out of the military, come come to Oakland. And so Brock took him up on it. And so Brock came in, took some classes over the summer. And then, of course, the NCAA decided, hey, we're just going to look at your high school grades and kind of put the kibosh on him starting this year. Consideration, of course, however, NCAA decided to change its mind, and Brock was able to start playing this year. So it was thought that he was going to be kind of a role player. He was going to contribute some minutes. He's still kind of learning the game and everything, but it looks like he's learning it a lot faster than everybody expected, because he is going the next game that Oakland has. He's going to be starting.
Wow,
that is, talk about a really good story coming out of the Horizon League. That whole thing was coming out of Oakland with Isaiah Brock.
But also shows the power of social media. I mean, I remember there was so much outrage over that decision. I was one of the people that really, quote unquote, gave it to the NCAA on that one.
So, I mean, what are you going to do? It's the NCAA. One of the things that I brought up, because I actually wrote about this, wrote about this particular story, the aftermath of them changing their mind in Campus Press Box. I had, it is kind of something just because of my background in higher education, this idea of, military service in terms of, education. When you go through military training, obviously most of that stuff is things that are not transferable. He was a mortuary science, and he spent if I look, to get an associate's degree in there, it's like the equivalent of being there, having a year or two to get yours. He was doing that in the military. I always kind of ask about that whole idea, not just in terms of the NCAA, but in terms of general. What role ability should schools have to be able to give vets a credit, some sort of credit for the training that takes place during this, while they're in the military?
I'd be interested to hear Phil's thoughts on that one.
Say, what's that?
I'd be interested to hear Phil's thoughts on that one, because I'm not really sure, what, if it's directly relevant to what's normal college, or, I'm not well informed on that topic enough to really comment.
Me too. It's very interesting.
Okay.
I mean, Bob, you probably know better than us.
It's going to be a question I'm just going to keep asking myself.
Yeah. I lost hope.
You there, Bob?
I don't hear Bob.
Oh, there he is.
The one thing that I'm sorry.
We lost you there for a second, but now you're back.
Okay. Bummer. But yeah, but regardless of, all 4 games in, he's become a solid contributor. I mean, to the point where starting. I mean, that's either, and to me, that's a testament to, here's a kid who's, who mind to understand his shortcomings coming out of high school. I mean, he was a little on distance. And so we go into the military, kind of fill that void. And and it looks to me like he's done that. Or he's, he didn't spend, just to get to the point where he's nice basketball. I mean, to get to a point where he is able to kind of acclimate into Division I basketball, he is able to the point where it's game. That's absolutely, that's really amazing.
Yeah, he looks to be.
And he will be. Let's see.
I've never seen him play, but he looks tall at 6'8", but looks to be pretty skinny. His weight's listed at 191.
Yeah, he's giving them almost 6 and 4 a game. He's 11 of 12 from the field. He's doing something right out there.
Their next team's against Nevada on Wednesday, it looks like.
Yeah, I think. And that's I think the next time they play, they're playing against Nevada.
Yeah, Wednesday.
I mean, yeah, like, did I read that correct? Are they playing at 1 a.m. on Wednesday?
That's right. That's right. 1 a.m. 1 a.m.
Yeah. Many better one. I'll probably wake up.
Phil and I will either be already home if it's 1 a.m. late Thursday, or we'll be in Cincinnati in a hotel room, one of the two.
One.
No, it's 1 a.m. late Wednesday.
Okay, then we'll already be back.
Yeah. 1:30 a.m.
Yeah. So, 1 a.m. Wednesday is looks like schedule because you have a 1 o'clock.
That game's on TV too, Phil. It's a CBS Sports Network.
Oh. Yeah, and then if they win or lose, they're playing later that day at 4 p.m. or 9:30 Eastern time.
Is that a tournament?
Yes.
So, yeah. It might be. I'm trying to double check on
shootout.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't. I knew that Oakland was going to one of those exempt tourneys. I couldn't remember when to save my life. So yeah, the Great 11. So, all right. So if there is no other, if there is nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, gentlemen. A pleasure to speak with you guys.
Yeah, it was fun, Bob. I enjoyed it.
It was fun. It's nice filling in for Jimmy.
Not.
Phil filled in for Jimmy. I filled in for Craig Bones Jones.
Yeah, the substitutes, not the super fans.
5 years out of those videos, I'm still trying to shake that label. You know, Phil?
You can't shake it.
I can't.
It's for life.
Looking that way.
All right. And as always, the Horizon Roundtable is on 4lights.fm. Find it wherever good found. Stitcher, you name it, we're there. So, gentlemen, again, it's been a pleasure. And for everybody, we will see you